My name is Clayton, and I've lived on Salt Spring Island for about 3 years. I've started the Salt Spring Island Wellness Center as well as a farm on the south end of the island, and so I'm a taxpayer on a residential address as well as on a commercial property. I'm deeply involved in the incorporation discussion, serving on the incorporation study committee for the last 3 years, and really looking at what is it that I want and what I believe is the best for this community where I intend to live and raise my family. Now, I'm firmly against incorporation, and it really comes down to 3 reasons. And the first is about roads. And I don't really like that it's about roads, but roads is the largest asset and the largest liability and the biggest money impact that is facing this island in this vote. Now, the roads are worth hundreds of millions of dollars, and they've been under-maintained by the province over the last 50 years. Now, they did an independent roads assessment to look at the condition of the roads and what needed to be done. And they found that 50% of the roads on this island are in poor or sub-poor fair condition. And on a life cycle of pavement graph, you'll see in the report that pavement lasts for a long time. As long as you maintain it, pavement can last indefinitely. But once it reaches that point of reaching fair or poor condition, it starts to fall off, and the cost increases exponentially if you don't spend that money today. And now the report says that $33 million is needed today to bring roads up to that acceptable level where they'll be maintained. Now the province is offering us $15 million to bring those roads up, and over the next 5 years. And so what we're left with is continuing to under-maintain our roads and a massive shortfall of over $15 million at a time when road conditions and the deterioration of the roads and the cost to repair them will increase exponentially during that time. So the liability that we're faced with in 5 or 10 or 20 years is massive. As a taxpayer here, we'll be assuming the most lane kilometers per person of any taxpayer in this province. And so as a taxpayer here, do I want to assume this massive liability that the province is asking us to take, that they've under-maintained? Currently, any changes to the roads, any issues when Walker's Hook or Isabella Point faces structural issues, that cost is borne by the entire rural tax base. It's diffused like an insurance policy. Now, under incorporation, that cost will be the responsibility of taxpayers here. And it's massive when you talk about the largest lane kilometers per person, per taxpayer. Second, currently the provincial government controls tax revenues and the Islands Trust controls zoning. Now, when the provincial government doesn't have enough money to pay for all the services that people want, they have 2 choices. They can spend less or they can increase taxes. That's the only tool they have. Now, under incorporation, that tax collection as well as zoning comes under one roof under the new municipal government. So when the municipal government is facing shortfalls, as most governments in our world are faced, they have 2 options. They can increase the tax rate or they can increase density. So coming back to most lane kilometers per person, the way to deal with that is to increase the tax base and increase the number of taxpayers. And so there's an inherent propensity to increase the tax base. It's another tool and it's built in, and that's why some people will argue that incorporation is pro-development, and it's not inherently pro-development, but because there becomes an incentive to develop the tax base so that we can provide more services to our community, and we can all think of endless ways that we would like to spend money in this community. Thirdly, I think that local control on this island would be amazing. I agree with those on the other side of this debate, suggesting that we should be in control of our tax money. We should be in control of this island. We should govern ourselves. I absolutely agree. But this is a failed model of local governments. This is a model that's been used for the last 100 years in Western society, and it's not accountable and it's not representative. Now, when we elect people in a majority-based system, we elect people with the same values across the board. There's no ward-based system on this island, and so we'll elect more of what is typically elected, and that's white, upper middle class, mostly male individuals who likely have some form of wealth, maybe professionally educated, and can work for $16,000 a year. How do we represent the youth? How do we represent the farming community? How do we represent the single mother who works overnight at the hospital and doesn't have any time to be a part of local politics? And you can't tell me that showing up at council and I object, I don't think this is a good idea, is accountable, because those councillors are given a tremendous amount of power to create bylaws, and if we don't like them, well, we can vote them out in 4 years. But that's the accountability mechanism, and there's no accountability in it. Under a incorporated municipality, we're going to have a town hall, and we're going to have a local bylaw enforcement division, and we're going to have more bylaws. We're going to keep people safer. We're going to build traffic control methods and improve our roads, and we're going to pay for it. And at the same time, we're going to take away a lot of the unique charm that exists on Salt Spring. This island will change.